What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Hoops podcast. My name is Jeffrey, and I'm joined by Ryan and Matthias. As always, we are back with another episode, or a midweek episode this week. We're back on a schedule now that we're all not in different classes and exams and traveling and all that stuff. So we're going to get locked back in here. But before we get into everything that we got for today, basketball-wise, Ryan, Matthias, how are we doing today? How are we doing?
We're doing okay. I'm a little bit sick, so we're kind of getting through it.
Flu
A lot of
episode.
flu episode. That's right. But basketball's been good lately. I've been watching a ton now that school is over. I've got a lot of time in my hands. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel good. I'm home for break, so it feels good to be back. And I got a bunch of time on my hands as well. I've been going to play and pick up, watching as much basketball as possible. It's been fun.
Yeah, I've been doing the same thing. Been back at work, unfortunately, but watching basketball. I want to get into the gym and start playing some basketball again. I haven't played, like actually consistently played in a while, so I want to do that over break, if possible. But other than that, I'm doing good as well. Well, the first thing we're going to be talking about is happened a little while ago, but the Draymond Green suspension. So after the altercation with Yusuf Nurkic, he got up on front of the podium after the game, was like, it was an accident. And it's an accident because I wouldn't apologize if it wasn't an accident. And I'm like, all right, well, dude, you look like a clown for saying that. But then the league did an indefinite suspension. And he is it's rumored that the league pretty much wants him to go to 3 weeks of counseling and kind of like a rehab process with the league, understanding why his conduct is detrimental to the team and all that kind of stuff. I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts about that actual process. I know there's been some discussion about why is he going to counseling and blah blah blah, but I was like, I think it's actually pretty good, kind of healthy that he would be going to a counselor about being able to control himself a little bit more, because that's what normal people do. But I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. He needs counseling for sure, especially because both Nurk and Rudy Gobert after the instances came out and were like, "Hey, come on, like something's wrong with him." It's not like, oh, he was pissed off, like something's like wrong with his like anger issues. And then also kind of alarming, I believe it was post game after Rudy or post game after Nurk, I can't remember. Draymond acted like he blacked out, like doesn't remember how long he had Rudy Gobert in a chokehold. And like, that you need help.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Yeah, it's been kind of strange for sure. Like, I'm not gonna try to psychoanalyze Draymond or whatever, but I think it's fair to be a little bit concerned, especially after the comments, like what you guys said about how he doesn't realize like how long things are happening in the heat of the moment, or how sometimes he might lose control of himself or his emotions. Like, yeah, I think having Draymond go through some sort of counseling is, I think, a good measure by the league or by the team. I don't really know who, asked him to go do that. But yeah, I think we got that report recently saying that he's expected to be out for like 3 more weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it's like about 12-ish games, 12 to 15 games.
Yeah. Like, yeah, do we know like what, because like there are requirements he needs to like meet before he can return. Do we know those are, or not really?
I'm gonna try to find it, but I don't think they ever really released them.
Yeah.
Fully. They didn't release Jaws. They just knew that he had to go to like a counselor. Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I do like the counseling route the league has taken instead of just blank suspensions. Like the indefinite and like go get help with the issue you're having is a lot healthier than just like blackballing or suspending them for blank amount of games.
Yeah, it feels like more of an actual step, right? Because there are a lot of situations where suspending players just isn't the right way to go about it. Like, I'm not gonna, the jaw situation has been talked about to death. I don't want to like rehash any of that, but
Yeah.
like there are arguments to be made that like suspending Jaw and keeping him away from basketball is like creating a larger distraction, right?
Mm.
Like there are arguments to be made that suspensions aren't always the best way to go about like player discipline or any of that. But
especially when it's like off court issues,
right, yeah,
because it's like when you're now they're gonna have more time off the court to do that, whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I saw it doesn't look like it's really like a full list, but it all I can really find is that he started the counseling services, expected to rejoin the team within in approximately 3 weeks, and then it says Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Rich Paul are kind of like coordinating the process between each other to get him to return to the court, and then corresponding with the league as well. So that's pretty much what it is. So I don't really think they've actually released anything.
I bet the Clutch and Warrior connection will get him off pretty early.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, one thing I do want to say about this whole thing. I do hope that Draymond can get back, because no matter what, Draymond Green is like is an all-time great player. No matter how you feel about him and what he does, which has obviously always been controversial. But what I will say is this season's action that he's taken is a result of the NBA and the Warriors being completely like soft when it comes to his actions on the court regarding referees, other players, teammates. I mean, last season he punched his teammate in the face and didn't get any sort of punishment for it from the team.
No.
Yeah.
A lot. I'm pretty sure the reports that came out that like people are even like sided with him. Like there's a reason Jordan Poole got traded.
Yeah, that's what's been said. And then he's coming out last year and saying, "Oh, our team chemistry just wasn't the same this year." It's like, yeah, I wonder why. Like,
yeah,
there's a reason. But I just think the NBA, ever since like the final series where he got suspended for technical fouls, has always played like very careful with him in regards to suspensions, X, and all that kind of stuff. And this is the result of it. You give a player with that type of energy on the court, I'll say, it's going to result in him trying to do crazy stuff. Like eventually it's going to get out of hand. The Rudy Gobert situation, like there's literally no reason for that to even happen when it happened. I mean, Rudy Gobert wasn't even doing anything. He was trying to break up the fight as well. So it's just like, what are we even? What's even the point of that? And then, I mean, with this Nurkic thing, it was a normal basketball play.
Yeah, it wasn't even really that much of
like his
foul.
arm just got tangled up on boxing up for a rebound. So I really don't know. It's not. And then Steve Kerr always, when something like this happens, comes to the podium and says, "Well, we got to look at it, and I don't know what's going on." And
the lack of accountability from Steve Kerr and the Warriors has been really alarming.
Yeah, and this is just
that's what enables it.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you're looking at it and it's like, this is just a cherry on top right now for what the Warriors season has looked like so far. I mean,
yeah,
I think everybody kind of understood that there's going to be a good team. I know Matthias is happy because they have their unprotected first.
Yup.
I'm just happy because
Warriors downfall.
It's the Warriors downfall.
Yeah, so. And I mean, it's just like everyone kind of acknowledged that there's going to be a team that we expect to be good fall down the standings. and one of them is not going to be able to make the playoffs. And we said that there's 11 like legitimate playoff level teams, and the Warriors have been the worst of that group so far this season, which really sucks, I guess, because Curry's was playing at a really high level, but he started to cool off a little bit, and Clay has been so up and down. He's been better recently, and Wiggins has been absolutely horrible.
Like this team needs Draymond, like they really do.
Yeah.
You look at their schedule since Draymond has been suspended or away from the team. They've gone 3-1, but like we know that's not going to continue. Because it took like insane Klay Thompson games for them to like barely get wins against the Blazers and the Nets. Like really, and the Celtics just they threw the game away from themselves. And it took like Steph Curry heroics at the end to bring them out, which will win you games, but you know.
Yeah, some of the shots Steph was hitting during that game were actually insane. And I will say, like, the Blazers, they've been a competitive team. Like, they haven't been winning games, but they've been competitive. So I'm not going to get too much on that. But it's like 4-point win against the Blazers, where your two top guys are actually one of your guys is actually going off is kind of like dude.
Yeah, and Steph.
I've never seen Steph play
that bad against the Blazers.
Yeah, that was a horrible Steph game. But you got 25 from Wiggins off the bench. So I mean, I guess it's kind of out. But
yeah. I think the big thing with the Warriors is they don't have an identity. Steph Curry can't play his true brand of basketball without Draymond Green on this team because they don't have someone that can fill that role.
Yeah.
And outside of that, there's a bunch of guys that play a bunch of different styles of basketball. And we talked about it a little bit with the Chris Paul thing, but I think it's amplified with players like Kuminga and in a sense Moody as well. Like none of their pieces feel like they fit what Draymond and Steph and Clay need to do. So then it just feels all mush.
I like, you know what sucks too is I think that all of their young guys have shown some potential or flashes. I think Moses Moody could be like a Derek White type ascendance on a different team where he is. I think he's a really strong defender, and he's a pretty good shooter as well. And you know he has some ball handling chops that I think could develop even further. And Kuminga has been really good this year. The last 5 to 10-ish games, really been buying into just getting in the stance and playing defense on the other team's best player, best wing every night. And he's been, cutting well and stuff like that. And the shooting really isn't there still, but he's still providing value.
Oh yeah, I like their young guys. I just don't think they fit the read and react system.
And I think that's why a lot of people do have a problem with what Steve Kerr is doing. I mean, he just is refusing to adapt the situation. I mean, with Draymond Green being out, I understand you don't have a real role threat, but you should definitely be trying to run pick and roll more. Like you can't keep doing this like hub center type thing when you don't have anyone on the court that can do it.
It only works with Draymond. Like when Draymond doesn't play, they should just spam pick and roll with Steph.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like that's just
or you gotta put Steph off of like different types of off ball movements. You can't run the same things.
Yeah. But the Warriors gotta they play the Wizards on Friday. Then they play the Blazers. They got 2 more winnable games. They should win those games. Then they got Nuggets, Heat, Mavs, Magic, Nuggets. So
that's rough.
Yeah, that's a rough stretch. But then they get out of that. They got Pistons, Raptors,
and Draymond should be back around then.
Yeah, that's like the beginning of January. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Warriors. I think if you're talking about teams that are most desperate for change, I think it's going to be the Warriors. I think there's a good chance that they overpay for a mid-level player, like a high-level player that's not like a star. like a Jeremy Grant. Pascal Siakam's obviously better than like a Jeremy Grant, but like a Pascal, something like that, where they just throw a lot for nothing. That's not really going to help them. But I can't really blame them too much. You have Steph Curry playing like Steph Curry is, and and picks are just it's not. I don't know.
That's what I think. I mean, it's really hard to get a superstar, and it's really hard to get a player as good as Steph Curry. So I'm always in the thought process of like the Warriors need to do whatever they can to maximize every last drop of Steph's, prime playing career. Like I don't think they should be making moves that are, future focused. I think they've got to go all in, because I still like you've probably got like 2 or 3 more years of Steph playing like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, probably. So I think
with his shooting ability and all that.
I would say, I mean, Steph is I don't know when Steph's birthday is, but I'm guessing he's turning 36 during this season.
Man.
You're probably getting, I mean, he's not an athlete beast player, but there's always, there's going to be, when you get a little bit older, there's more chance of an injuries. And even LeBron, who was an Iron Man his entire career, no injuries. Even when he started hitting that age, it's like the little stuff starts to
builds up.
You can't play through the little stuff as much. And even Steph, was that last year where he was like in and out, like he like had all those problems with his leg and his shoulder.
Last year with his shoulder.
Yeah, because he was wearing like that full compression
to
keep his shoulder in, and like his leg, he had that tendon problem. So like, I don't know. I mean, and you're in absolute cap hell. So it's not like you can wait until next year and be like, oh well, next season we'll have 30 million in cap. We can throw some money at a OG on. Like no.
The thing they have is that they're just in a bad position.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, they can make a deal because they do have Wiggins at 24 million, and they also have young players who are high lottery picks. So, like with those set, like I think,
how realistic would it be to get like Lauri Markkanen on that team? They could make an offer for Lauri with a young guy, and
maybe
Lauri doesn't make that much money is a problem.
So we can transition to that, because that was one of the things we wanted to talk about. Is Lauri Markkanen, according to Jake Fisher, apparently the Jazz are willing to move him for the right price. Which Danny Ainge has always been a guy that's been like that. Like, we will trade you if the price is right. I saw a thing today that said, I don't remember who it was from, so I don't know if it was that credible report, but it's pretty much like Utah didn't buy in on Lauri being their cornerstone of the future when they got him from the Cavs. They just thought he was better than what the Cavs were letting him do.
Yeah.
It's rumored that they want like the equivalent of like 5 first-round picks. I don't know if that's like 3 picks, 2 swaps, but I don't think you're getting that unless you get it from OKC, because OKC still has 12 firsts.
I'm kind of getting over the like 5 first-round picks for a player, because
but here's the thing, like Dame just went for the direct Dame package. Even if you include everything from the Drew trade too, it's like 3 firsts and 2 swaps. Like,
like that is like, I feel like that's normal, but when you're asking for like 5 firsts,
what was the Rudy package? Was it 3 firsts, 2 swaps?
It was 7 total picks, right?
4 picks.
The Rudy package was like 4 unprotected firsts,
and 3 swaps.
I think there was only 1 swap.
Damn.
I think there was 1 swap in 2 seconds. Or was it all first?
No. Okay, I'm remembering now. So it was Jared Vanderbilt, Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, Leandro Balmero, and Walker Kessler as the players.
Because Walker Kessler pick was traded before he.
Yeah, and then I believe it was like 3 unprotected firsts and then a swap.
So it was 4 total firsts and a swap at first, but it was they drafted Walker Kessler like a week later or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Laurie is not as good as, and Donovan was 3 picks, 2 swaps. I don't think you're getting that package for Laurie.
No. If they want 5 real firsts, if they want like 5 total first value and want to do like 2 picks and a couple
You know what's
swaps or
really
something.
funny? OKC could give them 3 firsts in this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
Oh no, they can't. They have Utah's pick, but it's protected 1 through 10, so that's not going to translate.
Unless they get hell unlucky. Oh, I was doing the tankathon last night.
Yeah.
The Warriors. I'm scared of the Warriors' luck working in the lottery, man.
And
I did it like 5 times, and they
is
landed
it
in the
top
top
10?
3.
Is it top 10?
4.
Oh, top 4.
And they landed in the top 3 like 4 out of 5 times. And I was like, this is how lottery night's gonna go.
Dude, this is obviously very far in the future, but Detroit's gonna be the worst team in the NBA like this year. Like, I don't think it's really gonna be close.
But maybe in NBA history.
Yeah. There's a chance that they fall out of the top 4 again.
If they land 5 again after being the worst team in the league, oh, I feel so bad.
I saw some people talk about how they are like this bad, like the year after Wemby. I was like, they were this bad last year.
Yeah.
Like,
they wanted the Cade Wemby duo.
Oh yeah, dude, could you imagine if they could have gotten a top 3 pick? They could have gotten like Brandon Miller.
That would have helped their team so much.
Yeah, like I love Asar, but like substitute Asar with Brandon Miller's like spacing ability, like that's like
You know what they would have done though? You know what they would have done at 2? They would have drafted Scoot, and they would have had another playmaking slashing guard.
That would have been nasty. That would have been nasty as fuck. God. But yeah. But with the Lowry thing, pretty much every team should call that has picks available and contract to match.
I honestly think even rebuilding teams should, because he's only 26.
Yeah,
like he's one of those players that like fits both timelines where he's not good enough to take you out of the tank, but if you get lucky and get a star young player or like who looks to be a star, he can be a nice like 2 or 3 piece on a young play-in playoff team, which is like exactly what you need to get out of a rebuild.
The Grizzlies should call.
Oh, yes, 100%. But they are so like unwilling to get rid of any future capital, it feels like. But then they threw picks at
because
Marcus Smart.
they offered
They
offered a bunch of picks for OG and Macau, didn't they?
Yeah, but I don't know how credible all those OG and Macau. Like,
I think they want a floor spacing wing bad.
I think they were just throwing offers at brick walls there. Like, I don't think OG or Macau are really ever on the table.
Yeah, but like if you look at this, like, would you trade like Kennard and Zaire Williams and picks?
Yeah,
like that's like nothing.
Yeah,
it's like nothing. Especially with Marcus Smart coming back, that's going to help your spacing. Like, you're running out a starting lineup of Ja, Marcus, Bane, Laurie, and Triple J. Yeah, that'd be nasty.
Yeah, then there's also a chance that Smart comes off that bench just for size, but they'll probably flex a forward in there every once in a while. They don't have
any wings. They don't have any wings.
Yeah.
I think they'd rather just start Smart and Bane.
Yeah. God, they need a wing bad.
David Roddy is their first bench wing right now. Oh God. That's been brutal. But Vince Williams Jr. has been good for them.
Yeah, he's been a good guard. He's kind of played wing for them too, because he's got length,
he's 6'6". So but yeah, Laurie, I think every single team should want him. I don't think there'd be a single team in the NBA who wouldn't. He'd fit every team. There's a lot of teams that could really want him and don't have the picks because they've tried up their, like the Hawks. If the Hawks didn't trade all their picks for DeJounte, that would be a good fit.
The Hawks piss me off. Like we all thought that'd be pretty good this season, and they just have not been.
Dude, you know what pisses me off too? I hate when teams have good players on them and they're just ass. Like they're just ass,
Yeah.
dude. It pisses me off. Like, what team was I talking about that has like every role player that you need that contenders would need, but they're ass? I don't know who it was, bro.
It might be.
like,
I mean, Malcolm Brogdon, Jamie Grant, Robert Williams.
yeah, that's true.
That's
No,
kinda
the
how we
Wizards. The Wizards. I was like, dude, they have so many good role players, but they're just
Oh yeah, they're like
ass.
role playing guards.
I was like, dude, if you need a wing, dude, they're just all fucking garbage.
Mhm.
They're just the team is horrible though. So stupid. So dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't really think Laurie's gonna get traded. I think they're probably gonna end up keeping him.
The one thing I will say that would be enticing about the Grizzlies, do the Grizzlies have their first round pick this year? Do you know? I think they do. Or do they give it to is it protected in that Marcus Smart trade?
I can look.
Because they might be a lottery team this year.
They do have their pick.
That'll have some value, and they might get lucky and move up the lottery if they miss the play in, and they might.
They didn't give up.
They
their
might
own
luck
pick.
out.
They didn't give up their own pick for Smart.
Oh, they didn't. I thought they gave up one of their own.
They gave up
picks.
the Warriors pick, one of the Warriors picks, I think.
Yeah, but they could get lucky. That they could walk like the Ja Morant trade could really help them fill out their roster. Because I think they ran into an issue similar to what Dame and the Blazers ran into, is you're a rebuilding team. The lucks out gets a star guard that just carries you to the playoffs, and then you're stuck in good to mediocrity for a decade. And I think the Grizzlies are on the verge of just not having enough assets, and they can get lucky in the 10 to 20 range every year if they really want to. But as we've seen, that's so hard. It's so hard to get lucky in that like mid first round range. So it's like Ja Morant's suspension could be a blessing in disguise. They get a top 10 pick if they get lucky, miss the play in, and get a good wing.
Yeah, I've seen that. Some Grizzlies fans are saying that they should make the play in. I mean, at this point, you're 6 games back, or no, you're 8 games back from the play-in. I just don't think you're making up 8 games, especially when the teams ahead of you are the Warriors, the Suns. Sorry, the Suns are currently the 10 seed at 14-12. Like you're not. I'm guessing you're not going to catch up to the Suns' win pace. Like they just have too many good players.
Yeah.
Like the Suns are not a team that's going to go on an 8-game skid. The Rockets could.
Rockets good.
They're also a really good defensive team, and good defensive teams don't go on skids like that. So, and the teams above them, I would not say that are going to fall at all. Like the Lakers aren't dropping out. The Pelicans probably aren't dropping out. The Clippers definitely not. Mavs no. Kings no.
Yeah, the West is dangerous. Like it's hard to move up the West.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's beneficial for them if they just. I know it's going to be hard to tank with Ja or like coast with Ja, but if they still miss the play-in, you pray for a top 5 pick. You pray you get lucky again, like you did with the Ja Morant draft, and go from there.
Jump up, yeah. I wonder what that current.
Especially when I'm seeing like Matas Buzelis or whatever drop, and he's starting to drop a little bit.
People are really falling in love with those guards at the top of the draft.
Yeah. And he's starting to drop a little bit. I'm like, that's a perfect fit for them. Like he's falling into the
Memphis
range and some boards, and I'm like,
Memphis currently does on their own pick. They have the 5th best odds. They're tied. And they're 4th best odds. They're tied with Portland for the same odds.
Yeah, and they need to stay there. If they start to exit the top 7 or 8, then it's like I feel like it's doing a disservice, which sucks because as a fan you want to root to win, but. And in the general manager mind, it's like the value of being.
Yeah, I don't really even think they have to. I don't really think they have to even. What is it called? I don't even think they really have to try to lose. They're just not that good.
I mean, we don't know what it looks like with Ja and with Marcus Smart coming back. That's just 2 winners that I think they'll be a solid team. My worry is not in the West in terms of climbing the West. It's just the shit teams in the East. Like I feel
Yeah.
like some of the East they could catch ground and fall in the draft lottery rankings.
Yeah, it really does suck that the Grizzlies lost all that because when they were the first year that they were the 2 seed, they lost all of those role players like the next offseason.
Mhm.
And it's just been they've been trying to recoup the value there. And when your draft picks aren't hitting either at that same time and not developing, it's kind of hard. And like Steven Adams missing time, Brandon Clark out for like Brandon Clark and Steven Adams being out for the season is just brutal for them.
Yeah, especially because Steven Adams on-off numbers, and especially with John Morant on the floor, how valuable he's been to him.
Yeah, he
Like
creates so much
I'll miss that.
space through his screens for Ja to operate and get to the rim.
Yeah, and he's a perfect big body to slow down guards and bigs for like Triple J to come in on the weak side.
Yeah.
Like he's really good at just he's a high IQ player. Like he's always in the right spot, good screener, good rebounder. He knows when to screen in the paint, seal. He's
Yeah.
underrated for sure.
Yeah, well, speaking of the Grizzlies, let's talk about Ja's return game. He played again he came back from his suspension last night. Let me look at his official. Do you have his official numbers? I think he had like 36, 8, and 6.
I think it was 34. He had 34 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists.
Yeah, and the game winner.
Yeah, he shot 50% from the field, 0% from 3, but 10 of 12 from the free throw.
Yeah.
34, 8, and 6 in the game winner, first game back.
Yeah, it was like a movie.
Yeah.
The shot he hit was crazy too. Dude, Ja is so crazy. He like floats in the air for so long.
He has enough time to make multiple decisions in the air. It's insane.
Yeah, especially on Herb Jones too. He called a Herb ISO on Herb Jones and took him to the rack. Like that's impressive.
And you know who is behind Herb to help him? Dyson Daniels, who also is a very good defender.
Yeah.
That was such a tough shot. Floating double clutch floater over Herb Jones.
Yeah, that was nuts, dude. It was awesome though.
You knew it was going in. Like everyone knew that was going in.
Yeah. I do think it's funny that the NBA was so like pressed about all of the stuff he was doing in the offseason and suspending him. And then like he came back in the game, nationally televised game for his return. Be like, oh look, he's back, guys. It's like, dude, like seriously, that's so bogus. But yeah, it was fun to watch.
His situation was meh, but I think he's seemed like he's grown a little bit. His post game interview was he did a really good job, either just putting on like a front, or not. But he seems like he was pretty reflective on his time and seemed like going to counseling and all that, like we were talking about, helped. So hopefully that can help his game too. He said he spent a lot of time on his jumper as well, and that was visible. I feel like he missed threes, but just watching him warm up and in like
his form is different. It's different. It's faster. It just looks like he has more control over it. So like if that 3-pointer becomes a real weapon for him, like I don't know. I think that elevates him.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I don't know if his percentages will necessarily like increase too much. I'd compare him more to like De'Aaron Fox, where like his percentage throughout his career increased, obviously, but the last couple of years, De'Aaron Fox has kind of sit low 30s, mid 30s, but he's actually a threat off the dribble and creating from 3. Like John Morant can just show like, oh, I can hit a pull up or a sidestep here, and you have to pick me up. That's way more threatening than just a stationary or catch and shoot.
Yeah, I agree. And with the steps that Bane has taken so far this year, being able to create more off the dribble, and you know how efficient of a shooter he has been, and Jaren has been a lot better the last few weeks. Multiple 40-point games, been a little better on the boards. I think this year is the year for the Grizzlies to really, like you said, get that pick because of the suspension. get some more talent on the bench and whatever, and really lock in for trying to consolidate some assets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if then, you could maybe wait till draft day and make a trade as well.
Yeah,
Well-
because there is a lot of value depending on where that lands.
We'll see though. I mean, I still think there's a lot of time left in the season, and we saw last night how Job being in, like you could just feel how much it made the offense better, like right away
yeah.
in the game. Like Jaw as a passer and just the gravity he creates off his drives, like it just makes everything else about the Grizzlies offense so much easier. So you look in the standings and they are 8 games behind, and they would have to jump some pretty like good teams if they did well, if they wanted to kind of get back in the play-in mix. But I think it's possible. Like I really do think it's possible. And you know, there's something about this Grizzlies team that like they've I think you could argue they've been greater than the sum of their parts last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And maybe if they were to find themselves in the play-in or in the playoffs, I think they have like a solid puncher's chance to like catch a team off guard and make a run.
Yeah.
So
I think they would have been much better after the last, because they all started off really rough. The whole team. And I think there's been some more bright spots like the last month. But with Marcus Smart being hurt for the last like 2 months, there hasn't really been much to keep them going outside of Jared and Bane.
Yeah.
And my thing is like they have a good core. I really think they're just missing like in their starting lineup, they're just missing like one real piece. They're missing a wing. And like he doesn't necessarily have to be in the starter, but they're missing a wing threat in general. Because they got 2 deep boy level defenders. They got a scorer and shooter in Bane, and they got a top 15 player in the league. That is, like you said, a formula for a puncher's chance. If Jaren and Smart get going on the defensive end, they can lock down a whole team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like I really feel like they're so close, but they're it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're in a hole for sure right now.
They're in a hole, but I love their roster at the same
Yeah.
time in terms of like how each piece fits.
Yeah, I think it'll be a thing where we kind of like just wait it out and see what happens until, maybe it still takes them a few more weeks or like a month to find their footing, and they can't end up breaking through, or maybe they do now with Jaw back and like the momentum from this game, they just go on a crazy run and they start, piling up some wins. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens there.
Yeah,
you can go. Sorry.
I mean, what they've won 50 games in the last 2 seasons, right? If they went on a 50 to 55 game like pace in these last games, like I'm actually comparing it to a whole season, like 55 at 82. I don't know what that percentage is, but I think they have a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
They would right now. And the problem is they only have like 7 wins right now.
Yeah, they're in a hole.
How many games? So they got 20. We're 25. They're exactly 25 games in, obviously.
26, right? Because that was
26. So yeah. So there's 56 games left. I think you would probably need to win about 30. You probably need to win about 40 of those games, 35 to 40 of those games.
Yeah, because I feel like the play-in in the West the last couple years has been around 500, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they have to get to 500, so they got to win 34 games probably, minimum. Which is
that's going to be hard. Yeah, because there's some good teams in the NBA right now who are at about that win percentage. And I think that's why it's even more impressive that we have so many teams at the top of every conference that have such high win totals. I mean the Timberwolves are 20-5 still.
That's insane. Because I feel like they've had a decently tough schedule too. feel like every time I
Oh,
check
yeah.
on the Timberwolves, they're beating a good team, and I'm like, oh,
I
there you
mean,
go.
I'll say as a fan of their team, I think the Wolves have gotten a little bit lucky with some like rest advantage stuff. Like,
Mm.
and like you got to play who's in front of you, obviously, and you gotta win the easy games. But like we've played the Pelicans 3 times, and Zion has sat for 2 of those games, and we play Philly again tonight, but we played them earlier in the season. Embiid sat. We played the Pacers.
That's because Embiid dodges good
Halliburton
teams. Bro.
sat. I mean,
Hey, bro, I'm pushing this Philly agenda, bro. They're sub 500 against 500 over teams, bro. It's over, man. I'm pushing it, man.
yeah, I mean,
Frauds.
I don't know. Embiid, like bad teams have no answer for Embiid.
It's
like,
so funny, bro.
It's not even.
It's hilarious.
Not even close.
You can tell he wants to rest games. He just gets like 35 points and a half, and then just doesn't care. Like just sits.
Yeah.
The rest of the game.
He won't even play the fourth quarter, and he'll get like 40.
40 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
yeah.
One more thing I did want to add on to the Jaw thing is that where are we putting Jaw in the convo if they do make this play and push?
Oh, he's
what like the conversations. I wanted to bring that up because
I think it's like that.
Is,
I think it's like that borderline top 10 level. If they come back and they win damn near, if they go 35-17 to close out the year, that would make them a 400 team for a 500 team. I think everyone kind of acknowledges he's like a top 20 player unanimously. I think some people have him in the top 15. I think you're getting into the top 13 like that. Oh, you can make an argument that he's top 10. Like, I think there's this very separate tier of those guys for some reason. Like the Donovan Mitchell, like Booker, I don't know, those type of guys.
I would put him in. Yeah, I'd put him in that range for sure, and even a little higher. I think in terms of like this season, he would have to get first team. I guess I don't know if he'd play enough games actually because he doesn't.
No,
he's
going to be. He's going to be
Does he qualify? Is there a game requirement for All Stars?
No,
but they're not going to.
They won't vote him in.
Yeah.
That's just lame. He's missing on accolades. I forgot that was a big thing. But I mean, in terms of like rankings, like I think he has to be fringe top 10 or even higher. I think if they make the plan, I know it's just a plan, but 35-17 after not playing any games, like in my opinion, that's like
that would put him in like
that championship roster around him. Like
that would
he
put
can carry a shit team to a play-in spot.
What is?
Because that's what the Bridges have been. Like, no offense, but they have been bad. Like, they've had brighter spots, but they have been disorganized and just bad.
Yeah, that's a 67% win percentage right now. So that would put them if that win percentage would be like third in the West right now.
Yeah.
If they had that win percentage. Which that's why that would be wild.
My thing is, and I got another question for you. How many players in the league do you think could take a 7-win team like the Grizzlies and make them a playing team? I don't think there's a lot. You don't have to list them, but
I'm going to get rid of the superstar. There's the obvious superstar people like
Giannis,
Embiid, Luka. Luka's doing that shit right now.
Yeah.
I would say there's probably in the entire league probably like 8, maybe 7.
Yeah,
not a lot of guys.
And I think that's if he does this, I think he's got to be just outside that range, anywhere from like 9 to 12.
I think you go. I think it's like all the solidified superstars, and then like I think like the guys that are right outside of there is like I don't think Tatum could because he's too inconsistent. Scoring.
We'd have to see. He's always been around a good roster.
Dame's a good. Dame's a good question mark because
I don't think he can anymore.
I don't think he can anymore either.
Like that's my thing is I think like looking at this situation, I could really only say in terms of point guards that like what Luka, Steph, and Shea are better than Ja.
Yeah,
If he were to finish out that season like that, like this is
I think Hallie might have an argument for being able to do that just because of his offensive engine level.
Yeah, he's kind of doing that right now.
Yeah.
They're playing too.
Yeah, well, they are. They're in the A seed right now. Hey, they talk crazy and then they go on a 4-game losing streak, get blown up by the Wizards, bro. It's their they can't, dude. People talk about other teams not being able to defend. They're like the worst defensive team of all time, dude.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Dude, I heard a stat that they've given up more 30-point games than they've played games.
Yeah.
Because they had multiple people drop 30 on the same night.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bro,
like
Jordan Poole and Kuzma had 30. I think.
Ooh.
And
that's brutal.
Cat
bro.
and Ant and Cat just each had 30 like a few days ago too. Like the Pacers, the Pacers
they're young.
They're fun to watch, but also sometimes not fun to watch because it's like, can you just get a stop, please? Like against anyone.
They can't rebound. They can't keep anyone in front of them. And they've given up by far the most points in the paint.
Miles Turner fell off. Oh my god,
dude! And I don't think
well.
I don't think it's necessarily his complete fault. I just think that the defensive infrastructure around him is so bad that he's never been like an anchor, everything in the paint type of defender. He's a good shot blocker, but in order to be able to be a good shot blocker and your defense be good, you need a point of attack defender, and you also need someone to be able to help side because he's not like generational defender where he's like doing like Giannis.
Contest the first like what you guys see that Chet highlight the other day where he contests the drop and then lands and then contests the weak side help and gets a block. Like that's stuff
I think they have that guy in the roster that can help. Jarris Walker just doesn't play.
He just had a 30-point game in the G League. Hopefully he's turning around. We've seen like someone like Bilal use the G League to turn it around a little bit with a young career. Like he started in the G League and then he was only there for a couple weeks. Got a good rhythm.
Bilal's been really good.
Oh, he's been really good.
Yeah.
I love his game.
His shooting's been pretty decent.
Especially these last couple weeks.
The defense has been really good as well. So
yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite young players. I was super, super high on him in the draft.
Yeah, he's always I
was praying as he kept rising up the leaderboards. I was just praying, like, just fall to 23, fall to 23.
Nah, top 10 maybe. The Wizards got a lot of good, dude.
I just
Wizards have a bunch of guys. No, I don't. They need a new coach so bad, bro. He's horrible. Oh my god. Dude, like the worst part about the Wizards, which we always end up talking about these dog shit teams for so much. But like, dude, like honestly though, like I feel like that's like what you have to talk about because like there's not that much to talk about the goddamn Celtics, bro. Like they're good.
Yeah, and they get a lot of media time, and it's like, oh, this Ja Morant thing. It's like everyone knows Ja Morant's like a top 20 player, like you said, and it's like,
but like, dude, they have so many guys on their team that are like gonna get traded or do nothing, and they're gonna get traded to or get signed away to a contender, and they're just gonna be like the best role player on a contending team. Like Corey Kispert is 24 years old. He's about to be it's only his second year. Dude, that dude is gonna end up on like a good team, and he's just gonna be amazing for them.
Yeah,
like he's just like a sniper, and he like cuts really well, and he defends like. He's like perfect. He's like the perfect player. Like Gafford, dude. If Gafford was on a contending team as their backup 5, dude, and played like 10, 15 minutes a game,
he'd be valuable.
Or like
that's someone the Suns should try to target.
Tyus Jones, dude. They can't trade. So the thing is with the Suns is they can't trade any of their guys because they gave them these like they did something in the contracts to get all of those minimum guys to come to. It's like something where they can't get traded. Like it's like a no trade clause type of thing. Like the Suns are pretty much
so
stuck
brutal.
with the team that they have.
Other than the
Mhm.
guys like Nas and Nurk that they traded for, right? But that
Yeah,
doesn't.
they could trade Nurk.
They could
they
flip
could
those
trade-
guys, but at that point, like you're not gonna get an upgrade.
No. Unless you actually want a real defensive. I still can't get over that. That's the funniest thing of the whole offseason. Defensive minded center trades for Yusuf Nurkic, bro. Like he's been an absolute cone out there.
Yeah.
Like
That's-
worse, like
Ever
just
since his
horrible.
leg snapped, that's just how it's been. His movement has never been the same. I don't know if it's a fear or just a 300-pound man's leg snapping does a lot to a body. So
Yeah.
hard to.
Mm-hmm.
Still holding on. I'm still holding on dearly for my DeLon Wright to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But he's like hurt, so whatever. The next thing we want to talk about, speaking of injuries, the Cavs.
Oh,
Garland's out 8 weeks with a fractured jaw, which he finished the game with a broken jaw, which is kind of wild.
Evan Mobley.
Mobley had arthroscopic knee surgery and is expected to be out at least 6 to 8 weeks. I think this season is cooked for them, dude.
Yeah, it's
they've won 2 games since those injuries. Donovan Mitchell's putting on the backpack. They're currently sitting at the 6th seed, but for a team that we expected to be a top 4 seed,
they haven't looked like them.
no.
And they're losing 2 integral pieces. And like Darius Garland and Mobley's been playing well, but Darius Garland started slow. And he started, I feel like, picking up a little bit. Mobley seemed like he was starting to take strides offensively. Even if
Mobley was for sure.
Yeah, he was. And
they were using him as a hub a lot, which was really nice.
They finally were starting to get the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands. Like he still was having a high usage, but not in his hands the whole time. They were letting Evan Mobley be a hub and letting Darius be more of a hub, which is needed. And then these injuries hit. Not a good look. Also, this increases the chance of Donovan wanting out, which is an issue.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about him getting traded this season. I don't see it.
I personally don't see it either, but like in terms of those talks picking up and the thought process,
people act like this is his last year of his deal. I mean, he still has this year and next year that an option.
Yeah, and he's making a lot of money.
Yeah, he's it's not like he's on like a small deal. The only reason I could see him maybe asking for a trade in the summer if he really doesn't want to be there anymore, and he gets moved for whatever, because then he's extension eligible for the Supermax. So maybe he's just waiting to get traded until he can. I don't think he's going to get traded this year. If the Cavs do trade someone, I think it's pretty. I think they were going to trade Jared Allen, but you can't trade him now because it's like you don't have any bigs.
Or you could go full tank mode and just try to get a young piece. I know we just talked about that, but
I saw a team that would be in. I saw a report today about someone being interested in Jared Allen.
Pelicans.
That's nasty, bro.
Ugh. That is so nasty.
And I mean, if you got Valanciunas back, I wouldn't hate it necessarily.
I don't know. Like
Valanciunas
has been good this season. Like we're gonna talk about him later with the underrated players thing because he's on my list. But he's been good. Like I don't. Unless you really want some defense.
The Suns
5. Phoenix.
But I think you're gonna get back
Nurk.
Let's look. How many years on Nurk's contract? 3.
Fuck. Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, it's less money. It's $5 million less a year. So, I
guess you could draft the goal is to get Mobley to center. in the long
Yeah, but he's
term.
hurt right now.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a problem. I mean, he can't. He's not going to be back until like the trade deadline.
yeah.
Which I mean, I
But
guess
if you trade for someone like Nurk with 3 years of his contract, I feel like it's kind of like a commitment.
yeah.
It's hard
But
to get him
Nurk,
off your books.
16 million a year though is a lot easier to trade. It's really easy to trade.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Cavs have a lot of guys that could get moved. Karras.
They have a lot of good role players.
I think there's a chance Isaac Okoro could get traded as well.
Yeah, I think he's on the.
Yeah.
He's gonna be on the move. It's just a new change of scenery would be nice for him. I think at this point.
Also, there's a report today about.
He's been good.
There's a report today about the Cavs and Rubio working on a contract buyout because he's pretty much planning on retiring.
Yeah.
So
has he been dealing? He's been dealing with injury, right?
No, he just left the team. He just didn't want
to play basketball anymore.
Yeah, I mean, people say he's only 33, but he's been playing professional basketball since he was like 14.
Yeah.
So
a lot on the body.
Yeah, I mean, if you do end up trading some guys, I mean, the Cavs' problem, besides the injuries that have just been piling up for them this year, their scheme. I don't understand what they're doing on offense at all. I mean, you have one of the best shot creators in the NBA. You have one of the best playmaking guards in the NBA. You have this generational defensive prospect, like a guy that you think could be a generational defender. And you're still running funnel defense to Jared Allen. And you're still not running any off-ball movement. You're not shooting any catch and shoot. They don't shoot like any catch and shoot threes. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and whenever they do, you can tell that the team's just not on the same page because when they try to play different coverages and like switch on the backside and pick and rolls, they can't. There's miscommunications all the time. Which is that's just a sign of a bad coach, sadly. The coach doesn't have them on the right page at all. And that could be why their offense ends up just being Donovan Mitchell ISO at this point. Because no one's on the same page. They go to run something, they can't run it. Oh, we just wasted 14 seconds of the shot clock. Donovan Mitchell, do something.
I want to look up the
it's just not good. Their execution on both sides of the floor has been ugly, and there's a reason. I've slowly stopped watching Cavs games this year.
They've been disappointing for sure. I do think a lot of that does have to do with injury though. Like even before the Garland and Mobley surgery news, like they started off the year hurt. It seemed like they always had guys out of the lineup, like starters and all that. It's just a disappointing season for them, for sure, because we all thought they'd be like a top 4 seed, easy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and they still have some chance to turn around, but now it's just like
for sure. But like, it just becomes
over
more difficult because like, any team losing a guy like Darius Garland for extended period of time is going to get worse, and Evan Mobley, same. For sure.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Really
of the defensive numbers
random thought process, but Jesus Christ, dude, the NBA stats website is so horrible, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I don't really understand a lot of like the Donovan Mitchell is going to get traded in February thing, just because like
me neither. What value does that bring to the Cavs?
They've been hurt.
Yeah,
and like what?
I think if
what,
he goes,
what are you
he goes
getting
in the summer.
And like, what are you getting for Donovan Mitchell that's going to help you either in the short term or the long term?
Well, the
like,
obvious
probably nothing.
The obvious team that you're trading with is probably the Knicks or the Nets. Those are the two teams because it's like that's like the rumors. Like if you go somewhere else,
Nick Claxton, Evan Mobley, defense. Ooh,
yeah, Jared Allen back in
Brooklyn.
The rumor is he wants to play in New York or Miami, but it's like, dude, Miami won't trade
anybody.
I want to talk. Miami didn't want to trade Jovic and all these dudes, bro. Jovic doesn't even play. Dude.
That whole Miami, I'm pretty sure that whole Miami circus was all bullshit, dude. I don't even think Joe Cronin called them once.
Oh my god, bro. If there, I tend to just believe like some reports like that were like they didn't want to trade like so and so. It's like, dude, so funny because like all the guys that they wouldn't trade have been mid. Like Caleb Martin, not been as good as last year's playoff run at all.
This is gonna get clipped, and then
I don't care, bro.
In June, you're gonna get terrorized.
The Heat can't hurt me any more than they already have.
Caleb Martin 11 threes, game 6, loading.
Yeah, I saw. I was going through TikTok and I saw like best NBA moments at it, and I'll watch those at every single time they pop up because why wouldn't I? And in the middle of the episode or in the middle of the video, it was Caleb Martin hitting that fading 3 in Giannis's face and like putting his hand. And I was like, bro, why is this in here, bro? Like, come on, bro. Like, dude, all the other clips were like, dude, like historic moments. Like Jordan shot against Utah. And so I'm like, dude.
I mean, first playing team ever making the finals is not finals, but conference run, right? Finals? Why am I not remembering?
Finals.
Yeah.
Oh, because they got swept. That finals
was so ass, bro.
Yeah, it was so numb.
That was so boring. Like
it was one of those things where it was like they were just so outmatched.
I mean, I kind of thought after game 2, like when Miami won in Denver, I was kind of like, okay, I think Miami has a chance, but like, no, they weren't even really close to game 3, 4, or 5. Game 5, if you guys remember, that was the most disgusting game ever. It was so low, like the score was so low, and nobody could make a single fucking shot the entire time. It was
That's
so
old school hoops.
It was so gross.
It's like when you go back and you watch like the 2004 finals, and it's like 86, 88, 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad the Timberwolves don't ever have to worry about beating the Heat because we just beat them every single time, apparently.
Got their number.
Yeah.
The Heat are a funny team.
They're so up and down. It's awesome.
Dude, they went on that crazy win streak and they've been like sub 500 since.
And they'll go on another crazy win streak.
Yeah, they will. They're like the 7th seed right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're 5-5 in their last 10, but I think they were like 3-7 at one point last 10. Oh my goodness, it's so funny.
Do we want to do Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
stuff, or just talk about some more rookies?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we're rambling a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so the Rookie of the Year race was heavily favored for Chet for a long time. And then recently, I think Wemby has overtaken him in like the writers' polls type things. I will say people are surprised by that, but it's like, yeah, Chet's been really good, but so is Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
And also Wemby is the best player on his team. Chet has a top 10 player on his team who is currently an MVP, like a top 5 MVP candidate.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like when watching the game, like when you look at the stats, they're averaging pretty similar, and Chet is a little more efficient. But when watching the game, Vic is just creating more. He is, especially offensively. Defensively, I'd honestly say it's about equal. Like you can make your argument for either one to be the better defender, but
since they've moved, so the Spurs were a bottom 3 defense. I think they might have been the worst for a while before Pacers really started to lock in on being absolute garbage. But like they moved Wemby to the 5 and moved Zach Collins to the bench. So they were starting like the Sohan Wemby front court. And I think since they did that, like if you just filter those games, they've been like a top 5 defense. And I don't know who they've all played during that stretch because I'm going to be honest, I'm really checked out of a lot of Spurs games a lot of the time because they're just their guard play and wing play has just been absolutely abysmal. Like they've been
Yeah.
Vassell's had some games. Everyone's had
He had a big
couple
game
games.
against the Lakers.
Yeah. But like, dude, like they have no playmaking on that roster at all. It's so
No. That's also a thing watching that. It's like I watch Wemby and I'm like, oh, he's losing 6 points per game on just being wide open versus like
Yeah.
when you watch Chet, like Shea's getting him the ball. Like obviously he probably is losing a couple points per game off of not being open, but
yeah.
Chet is getting like the full blessing of having a good team and a good playmaker around him versus Vic is running into a wall of like, oh, I have nobody around me. And I think that
Yeah.
explains the efficiency a little bit, but also it's like Chet's been more efficient, so you have to give it to him.
Yeah, I think that's if I was making my like rookie of the year ballot, I'd probably have Chet number 1. Because the efficiency is just like there's a pretty large gap. I think I just had the numbers pulled up. Chet, 16.9 points per game, 8 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 0.8 steals, 2.8 blocks, 63.5% true shooting. And then
really efficient.
Very efficient, yeah. The efficiency hasn't been what it was for like that first few weeks.
Yeah,
he was shooting like 60. He was shooting like 64% from 3 for like 2.5 weeks.
Still very efficient.
Yeah.
And then Wembanyama, 19 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 2.7 assists, 1.3 steals, 3 blocks, and 52.3% true shooting.
Wow, those block numbers went up fast because I feel like I checked his blocks like a week ago and it was at 2.4.
Yeah. Him playing the 5, they've been just funneling to him.
I also think Jeremy at the 4 defensively fits him more than trying to be a guard defender. Like
that was the worst.
Offensively, like I get he's a playmaker and you can put him in a point guard position at times, even though he's not a true point guard. Put him at a point forward position, but defensively he's not a point of attack.
He's a good help side defender, and he's like kind of like the switchable guy. Like he can guard post ups pretty well for those bigger wings. Like they played the Bucks, and he was doing pretty good switching between. Like he was taking Giannis a lot of possessions, and then like switching between him and the Chris pick and roll, and being able to switch on and move around with Chris.
And he's also like he's dependable on switches on guards. It's just like you want him to be the point of attack on.
You don't want him to start on guards. Yeah.
But like you're happy that he switches on because he can't really hunt him.
Yeah, I think this draft, the Spurs will be very aggressive in trying to get whatever point guard, one of the top 2.
Collier. I think they got to get Collier. I think that's what they'll go for.
Yeah, because they need a guard. Like they need a guard so bad. Or they have money. They need to throw money. I don't know what the free agency looks like for point guards. That's a younger guy, but I would be throwing like quickly bag. Throw him the bag. Throw him a huge bag.
Yeah. Another thing with Chet though, I wanted to say is that he is second in the league in defensive plus minus.
Yes.
He's deep boy level defender, and Vic's been really good.
The advanced stats.
I said that in that one episode. I'm taking my victory lap.
The advanced stats they do heavily favor Chet on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm going to say yes, but I think when you're comparing that, he's also running out there with lineups of Shea, who is possibly the best two-way
guard. He might be the best guard defender in the league this year. I know, like, you're going to give credit to, like, historically better defenders, but he's been 98 or higher in, like, almost all advanced statistics.
I saw that. Yeah, he's like 98th in defense and 99th in offense.
Like,
he's got J-Dub with him, and
so it's hard to compare in a lot of ways.
Because a lot of those stats are flawed, and when you have good defense, if teammates, you will look better.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'd probably lean Chet, but I could go either way between them.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't think it's ever fair to in the rookie of the year race to factor in team success, just because like, you know, the best rookies are going to get drafted to bad teams. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that whole Scotty Evan Mobley
yeah, right,
race was a little weird, but yeah, I definitely have him 1A, 1B. I would lean Victor,
okay,
because I feel like he's just producing a little more, even though it's a little inefficiently.
yeah,
But it could change. I had Chet at 1 like 2 weeks ago, so he
yeah,
gets hot again or Wemby cools off.
yeah. I
Yeah,
kind of I expect it'll kind of flip back and forth as the season goes on.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
I think I would probably have. I think I'd probably have Wemby right now, just because the load that he's taking on compared to Chet is just it's not even comparable with how
Yeah,
much he
yeah.
has on his shoulders. I mean,
hmm
it's kind of ridiculous. And also,
yeah,
well, Popovich, greatest coach of all time, but Jesus, dude, like the lineups he runs out there are just not doing him any favors. And like, I don't care how bad Trey Jones might be, like spacing wise and like defensively. You're already ass. Just put him out there, please. Like, dude, he needs someone who can play make. Like, dude, like they're running pick and roll with like Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell as the ball handler, and they just never throw him the ball on the roll
Yeah.
or the lob. They just
Yeah.
never throw
I
it.
mean, you want to give Vassell in those situations though, because you hope he can develop the feel for that. But at this point in Keldon Johnson's career, like he shouldn't be a
He
heavy
should
pick and roll. Like,
understand that.
yeah, and if he's not playmaking out of the pick and roll to your
And like
biggest threat,
I understand why they're rolling that putting them in the action. It's very similar to the Giannis and Chris pick and roll, where it's like you have a bigger wing player throwing to this athletic freak long guy in the pick and roll,
yeah,
especially with
it should
Wemby
be
being able to
impossible to contest in a way.
yeah, but like it's never getting thrown. And I think the thing with the Spurs that really pissed me off the most is when they're playing, they just don't look like they understand how to get past their first step. You know, like they always have something to do, but they don't know how to build on that action
And
in the
that's a
second.
weakness with young guys. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing the Blazers have a lot, and that's why you see like rush shots where
Mhm.
they'll go through their first like look of the offense, and it'll be 7 seconds into the thing, and they'll just think they have to check it. Like first look's not there, shot goes up. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Vic's not there when I first look at him. I'm not gonna wait 2 more seconds and see if he has a delayed roll or a seal where he's wide open. And like that's what they're missing because he's wide open a lot of times. Because I don't know, he's pretty good at I feel like he's pretty good with timing and knowing when like he's open and when to get open. But I feel like the guards are missing that 100%.
hmm
Yeah.
But
Who'd you?
I don't know. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say who'd you guys? I think the third person is probably Jaime.
I wrote down like 4 different players I think could
Yeah.
be
Okay.
in contention for
I
this
I did,
fourth
I did
spot.
a top 5 just in general, but I had Brandon Miller.
Okay,
I think Brandon Miller's been. I'll talk about. He was on my list for the underrated player coming up. So
yeah,
I don't know if I want to talk about him now, but I think
Yeah.
he's been really good. He's been efficient,
yes,
and I haven't seen anybody talk about him.
yeah. Brandon Miller has been really good this season. I have him down as like one of my 4 um, rookies that could fill that third spot in the ladder, alongside Jaime Jaquez Jr., Derek Lively, and Asar Thompson.
Okay. Yeah. I have Hawkes at 4, and
hmm
then at 5 I have Keontae George.
Oh
I was
yes,
really in between Lively. I I, I know we don't want to talk. We talked about team success and rookies, but Asar, I was really hard because they've just been historically bad.
yeah. No,
And even
I
if
get
you,
it.
it's really easy to look good on a really bad team at times. So, like, it's really hard to measure how valuable Asar has been for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Right now the odds on favorite is it's really weird because like if you go to like betting odds, it's like Chet and Vic are like negative 125 and 119 as of the 14th of December. So it's pretty much like neck and neck toss up. The next in odds is Jaime, and then it's Asar and Derek Lively.
Yeah, Jaime has been really good. If you guys want to talk about him at all, Ryan, I don't know if you had anything written down, but he seems like he can just do everything. He seems like he's poised, and at times when they need him to run offense,
yeah,
I feel like he's been a pretty good hub at times when needed.
Yeah, he's just been he's just been a great player and like such a heat pick. He's got a great feel for the game. He can do a bit of everything. He can pass, he can shoot, he can score, he can spot up, he can defend. Like just really a really smart player. He's more athletic than I thought. He can self-create more than I thought he was going to be able to right away. He's just been like really good, and I think he's going to have a long career as being like an elite role player.
Oh yeah,
teams are going to be wanting to win a championship,
and I think he even has the chops to be a little better than that. It's funny because he reminds me of Jimmy Butler a lot, where Jimmy Butler's the same way with his athleticism. He just doesn't use it. Playing the post, use your footwork, use off timing jumps and fadeaways. Get you spot and rise. But then all of a sudden you'll see Jaime just explode. And I think that's a reason he kind of fits Miami so well, is that on the bench he just slides right into that Jimmy Butler role almost, in like a miniature way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with the same.
And that's why I think he has the chance to like pop a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I had the same thing. So I had my top 5. I had Wemby, Chet. I had Jaime 3. I had and then I had Derek Lively and Keontae George. I think Asar's been really good, but I think he's been really good because of the absolute lack of talent that's been on the floor with him. And I think some of his skill sets are just he's been very good. I don't want to sound like I'm saying he's not very good.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I think he's been a little bit more to the tone of he's really good because his team is really bad. I don't know if he was on a little bit better of a roster. I don't know how much, if we'd really be talking him as like a top 5 rookie of the year candidate necessarily. Yeah. And Keontae George has been the lead guard on his team.
And he's been a solid playmaker this year. It's, I think, underrated. He took the starting job a couple weeks into the season, and he's been good. Dealing with injury now, but like he's been valuable. And with Asar, I said it earlier, but it's just hard to like rank his value at all. It's hard to rank anybody on the Pistons right now. It's just,
yeah, because they're 2-25.
And it's like I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's like an ugly 2-25. Like they're not close. Like none of these 25 losses have been close.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on Detroit last episode, so I don't want to go into it too much more. But like,
let's talk about the worst team in the league again.
But like, here's the script of all their games. It's they start out going back and forth, trading buckets with their team. And whether it's in the first quarter or the third quarter, the other team, as soon as they make a run, the Pistons are out of it. Like they're the chance of them countering or like getting back into it is zero. Like all it takes is the opponent to go on one like 10-0 run, and the Pistons
they're out
of the game. And when you can't even do that, like there's just no way you're winning ever.
No, because basketball is literally a game of runs, and if you can't do that, you can't play a good game of basketball.
Yeah, they can't go on runs. They can't answer runs. They can't do anything.
It's simply because they can't shoot. You're not going to be able to come back into games when you're getting down like that when you don't have shooting. The other bad teams like the Spurs and like the Wizards, they have flamethrower guys on their roster, and those guys can get hot. Jordan Poole can get hot and hit 5 threes in a quarter, 6 threes in a quarter, if he really gets going. The Spurs have Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. They have guys who they might not be that strong shooting wise, but if they get hot, they can keep going.
They provide spacing. You have to guard them at least.
There's nobody
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
Pistons roster that
say
can do
say
that.
what you want about Jordan Poole, but you aren't going to leave him open.
No,
you're guarding him.
Yeah, you're not giving him practice shots. Yeah,
no. And the Pistons, you can.
Everybody.
The Pistons are letting everyone have
practice shots.
The Bucks were just leaving them open, bro.
Yeah,
even sometimes for Cade, in terms of jump, open shoot jump shots.
Yes,
he's not a threat on the 3-point line.
You can leave Cade open and you can feel fine about the results, because even if he does make one, he's missing the next 3. So
yeah, same thing with Jaden Ivey.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Killian Hayes, Sasser. I haven't checked on. I haven't watched the Pistons game in a while because they're not very good. But Sasser was shooting pretty well early in the year. I don't know how that's kept up. Let me look. But other than that, it's really Boyan is the only threat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad basketball.
Yeah.
It's actually hilariously, but do you think I'm fully expecting them to break the losing streak record.
Mm-hmm.
They got one more chance. They got one chance, and it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Who do they play?
Utah.
Without Keontae George. And
actually, they got a chance in these next 3 games. These next 3 games, they have a chance. They have to win one of the next 3, or it's done, because it's Utah, Brooklyn, Boston.
How many? What's the largest losing streak? What are they at right now? 22?
24. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I genuinely, it would be funny if it happened. They tie the record, lose the next 4. Detroit plays Toronto on December 30th. They beat Detroit. They beat Toronto. They almost beat the Hawks. Yeah.
They beat Boston to survive, right? They would tie the record against Boston, right?
Yeah. If they beat Boston,
that's how losing streaks get broken, though. They beat good teams. You get a good team while they're cold, and you get hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to think of any other rookies.
I'm gonna shut
Derek
up.
Lively.
Derek Lively's been very good.
Very good, and he's been so valuable.
People who questioned if they should draft Derek Lively or try to trade him for a mid-level center pissed me off, because dude, you just see it. It's the same thing with Mark Williams 2 years ago. You just watch them play and in college, and you're just that's just gonna translate, dude. They're athletic. They understand how to shot block. They understand how to use their body when they're shot blocking. They're really good screen setters, and they know how to roll. And when you're playing next to Luka, and if you know how to roll and set screens, you're just going to eat.
Yeah.
And they haven't been complete food in the paint, which he's hurt right now, so it's been kind of rough. But
and Luka's also young, is that people got to remember. Yeah, he's a superstar, but sometimes it's
4.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to get young talent, even though you have a really good player on your team. Especially young talent that can produce.
I want them to make him
exactly what Lively's been.
Dude, Luka's insane, man. I wish they
Lively averaged 8 and 8, but it's the loudest 8 and 8 you will feel.
I'm gonna be honest.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna bring this up because I think we're kind of done with the rookie stuff. Talking about MVP a little bit, we don't really have to go into the whole race right now. I think Embiid's pretty much unanimously the leader, just because of how insane his last 10 to 12 games have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, man, Luka might be coming for that. His entire team is getting hurt right now. If he keeps them as a top 4 seed, 5 seed,
easy.
he's average. 20 Dude, he's averaging 32.9, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 49% from the field, 38% from three.
His efficiency jump has been really impressive because that's been his real only knock.
Yeah, his 3-point efficiency. Yeah.
And that's led to a higher field goal, right? Because he was
Yeah.
49 tie, right, for him.
Yeah, his career average is 46. I think last year he shot 49% as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But last year he was shooting less threes and a worse percentage. Luka's shooting 10 threes a game right now at 38%.
That's impressive as hell. That's really impressive. That's like top 10 shooter in the league numbers. Like it is. Like 38 on 10 shots is top 10 shooter.
I want him to get the MVP. I'm okay. I want him to get the MVP.
He'll get one in one of these years.
I need it, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I've loved the 3-way beef that I've gotten to enjoy with Giannis and Embiid and Jokic over this MVP for the last 4 years. But I think I need somebody. If Embiid does win it this year, that means we're going 6 straight MVPs between 3 people.
Yeah, we need some new blood. But also, they've been the easy 3 best players in the league in the last 6 years, so it's hard to get mad at that when it's the right answer half the time. Like it's like the only argument is, oh, you should have picked the other one.
Yeah,
like they're like all equally like dominant.
Yeah.
Another player on the Mavs I wanted to talk about. I kind of want to transition to our underrated players. Number 1 on my list, Grant Williams.
Yeah.
Grant Williams has been a huge piece for that Mavs team. He's playing career high 31 minutes. His efficiency has dipped a little bit from the 2, but his 3
as expected.
His 3 is at 40%. He's been an elite shooter for him. He does everything you need for a Luka Doncic team. He can switch, he can rebound, he can shoot, sets good screens for a 4. He's high IQ. He can pass a little bit. He can do handoffs, pick and rolls. Like I really like what he brings to a team because he's one of those guys. Like we've seen it in Boston, but he's very good at staying hot without the ball in his hands. Like he's good at not touching the ball, but he touches it for 5 seconds and he does something well with it. You know what I mean? And that's super valuable with a high usage player. So
yeah, Grant, he's like a perfect role player. Can shoot the 3 really well. Like what you said, can switch and can guard multiple positions. You can throw him on a Giannis. You saw the Celtics do that before. You can throw him on bigger guards and
throw him on Paul George.
Sure. Yeah, he's a really good player. And I like that pick as an underrated guy because I think he's been like the Mavericks, a lot of things have been going right for them this season, but Grant Williams is one of those players who like is just a perfect fit and has elevated that team.
And Grant Williams throughout his career has been kind of like people have had mixed views on him, and I feel like he's really solidified himself as a positive player these last couple years. And he's improved even he's improved every year, obviously, but then coming to the Mavs, he's improved once again, and he seems like he could be an integral piece for like a long time with Luka.
Yeah.
I have a different Mavs guy actually. Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
Nice.
He has pretty much been, I think, the leader for 6th man of the year so far this year. I don't really know who else would be on the.
It's him
quickly.
And Malik Monk, Naz Reid.
Naz Reid. But he has been just amazing for them. I mean, he's 17 points per game, 36% from 3, which is about career average. But I mean, just his ability to get hot has been, and he's always been a flamethrower type guy, very up and down player. Him moving into that 6-man role, where when he's on the floor, he's allowed to get his shots up and not worry about what's going on outside of himself has really allowed him to open up the floor for the other guys that they brought in as well that have been playing. So I think that everyone's kind of acknowledged that he's been good this year, but I don't think he's really been getting talked about. This is the highest points per game he's averaged since 2019 when he was on the Knicks. That really bad Knicks team, which was he had like a great night as like on a horrible team. So
Yeah.
not much to really show for there. But
No, I feel like the media attention around the Sixth Man of the Year race has been almost nothing. Like you haven't heard much about it, and maybe it's because early on in the season. But
Yeah, usually that award kind of the candidates become more clear later on.
Yeah, but Hardaway's been really, really good.
He's been very good.
He's one of those players, like you said, he's a threat at all times. And with Kyrie and so many other players missing time throughout the year, it's been a scoring guard has been needed, especially to relieve stress off of Luka. Because I'm pretty sure Luka is spending the most. I saw a stat earlier in this year. He's spending the most time off ball, but I don't know if that's regressed at this point. Let me see if I can find it.
Probably since the Kyrie injury, I'd say he's probably
gone back to heavy dose of on ball.
Yeah, but I just think with the whole Mavs team, they've been pretty good this year. They're like the 5 seed right now, but like Josh Green has been good, but like when he's playing, but like he is not taking the step that you thought he would. Same thing with like Jaden Hardy, like he's not really taking the next step that you wanted them to take this year. Because I think, to be honest, you were scared that Tim Hardaway was going to keep kind of he'd been pretty mid to bad the last year.
It was about time to move on from him is the thought process.
Yeah. And he's kept his thing alive. I think it would suck though. The one thing is if they were to make a move for a guy making a decent amount of money, he would probably have to get moved, unfortunately. But I think that's.
I just don't think the Mavs are in a place to like rush to move something right now.
Yeah, they have like no picks. So
yeah, they don't really have any leverage or anything to move, and like I don't know.
Yeah, my first underrated guy is Terry Rozier.
Oh yeah,
he's been super good this season.
Especially since LaMelo's been out.
Especially since LaMelo's been out, they've needed someone to take more shots, and Rozier has gladly filled that void. 23 points per game, 7 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game, and is doing all that pretty efficiently. 47% from the field, 37% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line.
Those are really impressive numbers.
Yeah, because I don't know if his efficiency has ever been this good.
I don't think so.
I'm assuming not. I can check his stats over his career.
His career average is 42%. So
yeah, with this volume, he's never been this efficient. Career high in points this season, in points per game this season. He's been super good, and just a bright spot for another kind of wasted Charlotte Hornets season. It feels like so.
Yeah, the LaMelo injuries are piling up.
It pissed me off because one of my hot takes was that they weren't going to be complete ass, and they were starting to trend upwards, and then LaMelo messed up his ankle, and
yeah, they're 7-18 right now. Just not good.
Brutal. It's been brutal.
Very brutal.
Funny. It's been a funny season to watch with them. Like Miles Bridges getting denied entry at the Canadian border, trying to fly in. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Wait, they tried. They got denied at the border.
Yeah.
Like, they're idiots. Like, I feel like
when they tried to fly in, they were like, no.
Yeah, why didn't? As a team, I feel like it's common sense. You should know you can't go over the border.
I don't know who. I don't know who messed up to. Yeah, I don't even know how that happens.
I think it's hilarious though.
Yeah.
Personally.
Oh, it is hilarious. But I want to talk about Brandon Miller a little bit. I have him also underrated
Mhm.
because like he's averaging what 15. I'm looking at stats right now. 15, 2 and 4 on 43, 38, 80, and those are good splits for a rookie. Like obviously you'd like to see that 2% go up, but
Mhm.
he's shooting 5 threes a game and he's shooting at a 38% clip. And he's provided like solid, okay defense. It's like which all you can expect. But he's shown it. He's kind of shown me, and I think he should have shown everyone that he was worth the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
Like that, the hate that he received and all that. Like I think he should have shut everybody up by now because he's been really good, and he's had some big games, and I feel like he will continue to step in as uh, the game slows down, and I think the Hornets will continue to trend upwards if LaMelo Ball comes back when he comes back because he's only like 6 to 8 weeks, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would assume so. But last
Yeah.
year he had the same thing that happened with his ankle. He came back and he rehurt it. Came back and then he broke it. So
We'll see. Yeah.
we'll see.
But I think he's just a perfect complementary piece. I was worried about his rim pressure with the Hornets for sure, but he's shown that he's capable of ball handling, he's capable of playing off ball, and he's been really impressive.
Yeah. Yep. He looks the part too, like as an NBA
Yep.
player, like the way he moves on the court. Um,
He doesn't look lost. He looks like he keeps up for sure.
yeah. Yep. I'm excited to see where Brandon Miller's career goes for sure. Like, I over the summer, I was in the camp of people that thought like Scoot Henderson is probably the right pick at 2 for Charlotte, and I didn't hate
I
that they
was
went
as
with
well.
Brandon Miller. But I was like, I probably would have went with Scoot there.
Yeah.
But as of right now, 25-ish games into the season, it's looking like they made the right pick. So, I mean,
Hey,
hats off
it's looking
to
like they made the right pick, and it's also looking like Portland made the wrong pick at 3. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know.
Scoot hasn't looked great, but Brandon Miller's looked really good, and I kind of had a feeling when we saw those draft clips of like the Hornet going
Yeah.
and all that. I was like, oh, Brandon Miller's gonna be an all-star.
Mhm.
Like, oh, lock it in. Like these are gonna be one of like there's gonna be a documentary about how dumb and disrespectful Charlotte was. And honestly, the media, uh, I think you kind of see it now because he's producing really well, better than a majority of these rookies in this rookie of the year ladder. You don't
Mhm.
hear anything. I feel like I don't see any highlights. I don't hear anything. I'm not seeing articles written about him, and
Yeah.
it sucks because you see in the NBA, but you see guys get chosen by the media, and you see guys just be like, no, we don't want, we're not
Mhm.
interested.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been just like really solid. And like, I really do think there's like he could become like the Paul George type player that he kind of compares himself to. Like,
Yeah,
I totally see it.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And with the injury to LaMelo, it's given him more on ball opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's been really good.
And I think if you're looking at this draft too, I would target a guy, athletic guy that could put on some rim pressure because that's really what they're missing.
Yeah. I am not as familiar, as I've said, I am not as into the NBA draft. I'm making my commitment this year. Matthias is really into the draft and prospects.
Oh yeah, I do
So
big board every
I'm
year.
expecting Matthias to hold me accountable. Maybe we'll do some film videos. That'd be pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
College
I'm
is
gonna
a
try to
lot
get.
more
I'm gonna try to
fun.
get more locked in with the prospects. And we got friends that are super into the draft, like who we've had on the show before. Cam, super into the draft. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
Probably.
he deep dives into it. I
yeah,
usually don't get into it until April.
he started now. He started now. He's watching his top prospects now.
Yeah.
Well, for my underrated guy, I got Mo Wagner of the Orlando Magic. Underratedly been almost like the best true backup 5 in the NBA this year. Holding his own defensively and offensively, been a guy that with Wendell Carter out of the lineup, him playing more minutes with that, he's been giving. I mean, he's had games where he's given you like 20 and like 15, 20 and 10 in like 30 minutes and 25 minutes when he has to play more minutes. And then when he's coming in for spot minutes off the bench, he's coming in 5-10 minutes. He's giving you some, good scoring runs and some strong rebounding as well, which is all you can really ask from a backup five.
Yeah.
So it's been awesome to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like he's someone that's always been a solid contributor, but he's kind of always gotten hated on.
Yeah, he's a bit of an asshole, so.
Yeah, maybe he deserves it, but
yeah.
No, he's been solid, and I feel like the whole Orlando team has really come together, which is really impressive to watch.
Yeah, especially with the absence of Markelle. Like I just said, Wendell Carter has missed a lot of time this year. I'm curious. I want to ask you about this Magic team. Do you think the decision's been made with how good they've been this year without Markelle, about the guard thing this offseason?
As much as I hate to say, I think, I missed the mark on Jalen Suggs. He's been one of the best.
Well, he's like changed his style of play completely this year.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of shown like he can kind of, I don't want to say he does the same thing Markelle does, but he can fill the defensive playmaking guard role a little bit.
And Anthony Pack's been really good right off the bat when he's played.
And he's been good. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, Markelle doesn't really have a spot. And honestly, like he still has a little bit of flair in the trade market. Not like a ton, but
San Antonio.
Yeah, a good team or even a bad team could really use him.
Teams will trade for Markelle.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone outside of some of the bad teams would trade for him this year, but I could definitely see Markelle next season, depending on how long it takes him to get back. Is he back yet from injury?
I think he's coming. He's soon, a couple weeks, because he's talking about taking it slow because
they've been good without him. Yeah,
they've been good without him, and he should be back, I think. But they're like, he's re-injured himself so many times. Like,
yeah, I think there is a good chance too that Markelle, maybe next offseason, he did get a second contract already. So maybe if he really wants to see where his value is at, maybe he takes a lesser contract with like a contending team that needs some point of attack defense, a little bit of playmaking.
Yeah.
So I think there's a chance of that, but he could also go to like a Spurs team and really get like a real role with them.
He's someone that would turn around his career in Miami.
Yeah.
Like he'll play backup guard and run a little bit of offense for Miami. I think he'd be good. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if he's a start. Like, I don't think any contender or like playoff team is gonna really send a lot for him, but
yeah,
a bench point guard that can kind of do everything but shoot, it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Ryan, do you have another guy that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking at my list. I'll go with Sam Hauser for another guy.
I'm sick of this devil magic that they got rocking in that city, bro.
Sam Hauser's good. We pay a lot of attention to Boston's like top 6 guys, but Sam Hauser has really solidified himself, in my opinion, as that 7th guy for them. He's tall, he's big, he can shoot the lights out from 3. We've seen some defensive stuff from Sam Hauser that's been, impressive. I think you can feel okay about switching him on to some bigger 4s every once in a while and some wings. He's just a good player, a good contributor for the Celtics that is probably going to be in their playoff rotation come April, May, June. So I don't have a ton to say about Sam Hauser other than I think he's underrated. And
he stepped it. He's done what he's asked for, and many people didn't expect that. And I don't think he's gotten credit for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I'll just give another guy real quick. Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
I knew that was coming. I almost put him on my list, but I saw you talking about it this morning.
Yeah. Timberwolves guy, obviously, but I think Nikhil has been like one of the 4 or 5 best guard defenders in the NBA this season. The dude
pisses me off, man. I'm so sick of this. Man, dude, like all these teams just get throw-in pieces in these trades, and then they're just like great. It's like, dude, this is crazy, bro. Like he was literally a throw-in piece for nothing. For nothing.
Yeah.
Joe Ingles. Didn't we send him for? Wait, no, we sent him to Utah for Joe Ingles, right? And then they sent. What did they
Yeah.
send?
So the D'Lo Mike Conley trade, Nikhil was part of that trade as like a throw-in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's been like really good. So he's one of the best guard defenders in the NBA. He's just a pest on the ball, off the ball. He's got quick hands. He's relentless.
And he plays with energy. He plays with so much energy.
Yeah.
And he was shipped around like what, 3, 4 different teams in his first couple years.
Yeah.
Like definition of a throw-in.
Yeah, and he was kind of drafted to New Orleans, and he was a lottery pick, and he was kind of looked at to be like a scorer, a guy who's going to take a lot of shots and be like a main scorer. But
reminds me of Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, and now he's been able to find this role on the best team in the NBA as like a do it all defensive player, especially as Jade McDaniels has been, hurt for a lot of the year and not really ever 100%. Nikhil's always just took the starting job in Jaden's absence and provided just as good of defense. And the offense with Nikhil, his jump shot is so streaky just due to how unorthodox his form is. But recently, he's been a difference maker on the offense side of the ball. He can make quick decisions with the ball in his hands. Like he knows how to look for Rudy in the pick and roll. Like he knows how to throw a lob. He knows where if he's in transition and Ant's behind him, he knows how to get Ant the ball in a position where he can score.
Yeah.
Or just
he's a role player that knows like, hey, maybe he knows how to get it to the stars, which is really important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you run into these role players that chuck.
Yeah, and sometimes Nikhil can be a little bit too like loose with the ball, trying to get guys open, but like the fact that he's looking for it and he's a smart enough player to know how to get guys shots is like, yeah, Nikhil just been a super, yeah, and he's young, and the fact that no other team was willing to offer him more than $4 million a year this summer is confusing because like he's been great this season, but this isn't exactly new. Like we saw in the playoffs against Denver, he was doing all the same stuff.
Yeah.
And Minnesota getting him for another 3 seasons off on a cheap deal is like home run. So another one of my guys for sure.
No, 100%. I have another throw-in guy that I want to talk about. Another homer, Toumani Camara.
Yeah.
He has been amazing. Number one stat I want to bring up is that he has guarded Steph Curry. He's been the point of attack defender for the Blazers in 2 Warriors games. Steph Curry has scored 0 field goals and has had multiple turnovers and only about, I think, 2 assists while being guarded by Toumani Camara, a rookie.
Let's go.
He is actually one of the better wing defenders in the league, and I will stand on this hill. He has been amazing. He'll guard Steph one game. He'll guard Jason Tatum the next. Then he'll guard Luka. He can guard everybody. He can rebound like crazy. High IQ player. Not the best shooter, but he just produces. Like he stole the starting spot in like 3 games just because he was just so obvious what he brings to the team. Ironically, he's exactly what the Suns need. Like if the Suns kept Camara, I really think they'd be a way better team. Like he provides just everything. Like he's kind of like a star's dream role player, and he's been great. And I think he'll continue to develop, but he really just kind of gives me bigger Herb Jones vibes. If I were to compare him to anybody that hasn't watched him,
yeah,
like obvious offensive juice, but like doesn't really produce. Like that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like Herb Jones knows what to do, but it's turning around this year. But as a rookie, you know, um, that's all I really have to say. It's kind of hard. Just super underrated. Great defender, great rebounder. Will fight anybody, which is fun. He's
Hmm.
always jawing at guys, which is always really fun.
Yeah, every team needs a guy like that for sure.
Yeah, and as a Blazer fan, I haven't. If you want to count Zach Collins, but like we haven't had an actual play wise an enforcer that can body everybody and is willing to do the dirty work in a while.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's refreshing. Do you guys have any more players?
I've got 2 more players on my list.
I have one more, but I can find another one if we want to do two
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Mine is Dennis Smith Jr. He hasn't played every game and he hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, but when he is in there, he's been so disruptive defensively. And he just been playing with such energy when he does play. And I really do hope that he gets the opportunity to go somewhere and get consistent minutes as a guy like that. Because I think he's been very, very good in that role. He was good at doing it in Charlotte last year. I think just the rotation in Brooklyn has kind of phased him out, especially with other guards and wings playing over him.
Yeah.
But I think he's been really good in that role. I mean, there's not really much to say. The numbers aren't eye popping. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, but the defense has been stellar and the energy has been stellar when he's in there.
Yeah.
So that's been just a fun guy to, when he is in there to be able to watch play.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's been good at his last 3 stops. I really enjoyed watching him here in Portland.
Yeah.
He's every time he's on the floor, he's been a good defender. Like I feel like throughout his whole career, and it's weird because offensively, I feel like he still has a sense and he knows what to do. Like he's definitely a professional on the end. I wouldn't say he's like prolific by any means, but he can run a pick and roll as a bench guard, and I saw that a lot in Portland watching every game. So I'm kind of shocked that he hasn't found a footing with people that have no guards.
I'd rather have him than Campaign.
Well, yeah, but a team I'm thinking of immediately for him would be the Jazz. Get him to the Jazz.
They have a ton of guards too.
Yeah, but they all suck.
Yeah,
like
but
that's somewhat like he could break the rotation there over Chris
yeah.
Dunn.
I think they thought the same thing in Brooklyn though.
Yeah, but Cam Thomas, I feel like kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Cam Thomas's insurance.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Milwaukee's a good example. He's someone that I wouldn't be surprised if a contender was like, we need you for spot minutes in the playoffs to just play 8 to 12 minutes of defense and give Damian Lillard a break.
Yeah.
And then we don't need you again.
Yeah, not be a net negative.
Yeah, like put him in with other offensive creators and just have him lock up.
Yeah.
I think he's very capable of that.
All right, another player on my list. It might sound weird because this is a guy who's been an all-star, but I do have Trae Young as someone who I think you could kind of call underrated at this point. If it weren't for the Hawks being so bad, like I think we'd look at Trae Young this season like a bit differently because by nearly all metrics, he's having a career season. 28 points per game, 11 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game, 58% true shooting efficiency has gone up from everywhere compared to last year. And I think has just played some really solid basketball. He had a bad like first 2 or 3 weeks this season, just shooting the ball and everything. But since then, he's really turned it up. And I think over his last 10 games, he shot like north of 40% from 3 and north of like 45% from the field. So Trae's been great this season.
Yeah, and I think there's been a noticeable defensive improvement too.
Yes. Yep.
Because like he was the worst defender in the league the last couple seasons, and I don't want to necessarily say he's good, but he's putting in effort, and he's had a couple clutch defensive stops, clutch charges, good hands.
Yeah,
Like he's kind of figured out his niche on defense, I should say.
definitely. It's much improved compared to what it was like 3 or 4 years ago, when Trey was younger. Like I think it was the
Hmm.
game against Brooklyn, um, where Trey had like multiple defensive highlights down the stretch of that game, and it's like, yeah, this clearly isn't the same Trey Young on defense that he kind of like had that earned him the reputation of like worst defender of all time or whatever.
Hmm.
So definitely improvements on that end, have not gone unnoticed, for me. It's just that the Hawks are bad, and there needs to be change. There needs to be changes over there, like serious changes, whether that be Dejounte being moved or Clint Capella being moved, or maybe it's just they need Jalen Johnson back, or or
But
or something.
if you're relying on your fourth option third year role, second or third, what is this, second year, third year role player?
Third year, I think.
Third year. Yep.
Yeah, third year role player to be the reason you're you're not 5 games under 500 is.
Yeah.
It's
I
rough.
I
just
mean,
think
like
the
they're
DeJounte
bare.
Trey thing just doesn't fit.
Nope.
Yeah, and anyone could have told you. Like, I think people thought it was a good deal at the time. You get another defensive minded guard to put next to him, but it's like DeJounte's not a strong catch and shoot player. He's
Yeah,
not a strong shooter. Like,
and Trey's not one of those players where he's good off ball. Like you take away from his value taking Trey Young out of a pick and roll. You just do. That's not a knock against Trey. It's just he's best in the pick and roll, and you want to run him off ball a little bit, but putting DeJounte as a main ball handler and putting Trey off ball is
yeah,
just a
like
negative.
it's not like you're trading. I'm gonna compare this. This is nowhere near the same trade. But for example, Dame and Giannis pairing together. Okay.
Yeah.
You know that there's a reason to take the ball out of Dame's hands. Okay. There is no reason to take the ball out of Trae Young's hands to give to a worse player.
Yeah.
Like that's doing the same thing that Trae is doing. There's no
Exactly. They're doing the same thing, which is the
there's
issue.
no other skill set. There's just one player is way worse at it.
Yeah.
And then like Bogdan Bogdanovic is just like never in a rhythm, never playing well because he's coming off the bench to spot up. It's just I don't know. It's
Yeah, they got some issues.
They have contracts though. If they want to make a move, they have the contracts to get it done.
And they have youth that can develop, so it's like I'm not too worried about them in the long run, but this current experiment is
It really sucks for them though because the trade for DeJounte really messed up their picks. Like they have their pick this year, but they don't have it next year. So like they can't, and they don't have their 2025 and 2026 as a swap. So it's like you can't even trade a bunch of firsts because you would have to send out like 2029 first round picks and 2020 like 20. You'd have to send out 2024 picks because like they have Sacramento's pick this year, so like they could trade Sacramento's pick.
But
And then
also
the first pick you'll be able to trade is 2028. No, 2029.
Yeah, but you could that's when you just package and
They do have a decent amount of seconds that they can trade with.
you package DeJounte and or like something with Clint and you get firsts and maybe some players, and then if you want to flip those and try to get somebody else with those assets or just sit on those picks for a year or two, wait till someone comes available, that's a way to reload. They wouldn't be their picks, but at least reload some sort of value.
Yeah.
Which is good, but I don't know. They're in a bad position. Yeah.
Matisse, you got another guy you want to throw in there?
Yes. I want to talk about Aaron Naismith. Indiana Pacers. He has had a very good year. I feel like he's finally solidified himself as a rotational NBA player. Last year he played well, but there was real efficiency concerns, and like while watching him, you're like, is still iffy. But this year, he's averaging career highs almost across the board. Career high in efficiency from three and from the field, and he looks the part. Um, Visually, it seems the game has slowed down for him. He's been a really good bench piece for the Pacers, and uh, I just think he's someone that will continue and improve. And maybe they got a little undeserved hate. You run into it with guys on good teams when young, but he's really found his footing in Indiana, and I think I don't want to say a big building block, but he can be a good building block with Halliburton in the future. I really like his game.
Yeah. He just has like the really good role player vibe.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, another guy that I really liked on the Pacers, Andrew Nimhard, with Aaron Nesmith playing as well as he has, and then obviously still having Benedict Mathurin, OB, Buddy Hield, Bruce Brown. Nimhard's minutes have been cut. I think if Andrew Nimhard was moved to like a good team, he would explode as a guy that everyone knows. Like,
Yeah.
he's really strong defensively, playmaking. He can shoot as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
And he was a second round pick guy that some first round pick hype. I remember it was like Andrew Nimhard or was like the Bucks #1 expected pick, but then Marjan fell to them, so they took him instead. So, but yeah. Oh shoot, I completely just blanked. I completely just took my list off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna since Ryan got to do it, I'm doing the same thing. I'm picking a homer pick, and Matthias did it. I'm doing Malik Beasley. I'm going Malik Beasley this year. He has been one of the best shooters in the league this year. He's had multiple games with 4+ threes. He has had a couple, like he had an 8-3 game this year. He had a 30-point game this year. Like, he's been really good. The Bucks defense has not been great. I think he is not a lockdown defender by any means, but I think he has not been as bad on defense as people have acted like he's been. Starting lineup defensive wise for the Bucks has still been good. It's just when the bench guys come in, and I think a lot of that's due to the injuries. I mean, when you're rolling out a bench lineup of Dame, Cam Payne, and Malik Beasley as your 1, 2, and 3, like, they're gonna get cooked. Like, they're just gonna get cooked. But Malik Beasley has been really good. I think people being worried about the loss of Grayson Allen was first off stupid because Grayson Allen is mid. But like, Malik Beasley was on the roster. Like, if the Bucks didn't make the Dame trade, there was a very good chance that they were trading Grayson and Pat for something, no matter what this year.
Yeah, like just like an upgrade.
Getting Malik Beasley for free, essentially, is just it's just a great pickup.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was about to say, like, I remember, in the summer when we first started doing this, I was very surprised that no team was willing to give Malik Beasley more than the minimum, essentially, because like he's been one of the best shooters in the NBA for multiple seasons now, and yeah, with the Lakers, he had like subpar percentages, but yeah, I just found it confusing that no team was willing to give him a contract offer.
That's all it was. Is that he looked okay while playing with the Lakers. He didn't look great, so he loses a bunch of value. There's also this weird thing in the league with combo guards that, like, there's just this immediate assumption that a combo guard, like a 6'4" combo guard, can't play defense, or or he's not valuable. But combo guards are very valuable to a lot of teams. Like, and I think that's kind of the trend in the NBA is that, you don't really need it. But we're seeing, look, Terry Rozier is having a very underrated year too. We're seeing combo guards step in when needed, and they can provide. And I think that's just like a big thing, which I don't understand personally.
Yeah,
Malik Beasley's been great, honestly, throughout his whole. I feel like he's been a good role player his whole career.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a near 20-point per game scorer in Minnesota.
His first full season in Minnesota, he was like, 20-point per game score.
Yeah. And I think he's bought in. I really do think that there was a lot of pressure on him in LA because they traded for him to be like the perimeter shot maker from 3. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
really?
It's hard to play with LeBron though, because like if you're a shooter and you play with LeBron, like you stand in the corner the entire game, and you need to make your shot once you get it, or you're gonna get benched or traded or cut.
Especially that second stint, Cavs LeBron.
Yeah, it's just it's a hard job, and like Malik Beasley, like his strengths are really just not utilized. Like if you're just gonna put him in the corner for the entire game, like you got to have him running around and coming off of pin downs or all that. So
100%. He's definitely a movement shooter because people don't realize that a lot of times like that movement can get you in rhythm without having to dribble. Like just the fact you're moving and your legs can, like even though you're fading or you're coming off hot, like you get your legs under you a little more. And I've expressed my disinterest in the Bucks running so many sets for Malik Beasley, but I do think they found how to get him effective shots to fit like his play style, which is really, really good.
And Dave's just been more aggressive off the dribble recently.
Yeah, which is good. And I think that'll take away from Malik Beasley's shots. But no, I really like the way he's gotten his shots this year.
Yeah. Yep. And then the last guy I have on my list is Jonas Valanciunas, who I kind of mentioned earlier was going to be on my list. But I just think he's been like the most consistent and reliable player for the Pelicans. Jonas has played every game. He's been efficient from everywhere on the court this season. Rebounding, scoring, just doing stuff. He's playing good. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about him. But
I mean, the Pelicans had a good turnaround like after the first couple weeks, and Valanciunas has been a part of that. I think maybe it's just like he's settling in. I don't know, but the Pelicans look a lot better. And I can't remember if we talked about it before the show or during the show, but it's hard to see a center or like it's really an upgrade for Valanciunas. I feel like he fits really well with the presence of Zion. And looking at his efficiency, he's been amazing. It's like a top 3 year efficiency wise overall. In terms of attempts, like this is the best he shot in 5 attempts his whole career from 3. He's shooting 57.5, which would rank 3rd. I'm looking at his stats, field goal wise. Like he's having, I don't want to say a career year, but in terms of value, he's bringing every possession. He's having one of his best years.
Yeah. All right.
God,
I have one more I want to talk about. He kind of underrated. I don't know. I still feel like he doesn't get his respect. Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
I feel like he's jumped 5 points per game. I mean, he's jumped three rebounds. He's jumped an assist. He's improved his steals and block numbers. Efficiency is through the roof. 10% increase from 3.
Yeah.
Like 3% increase from both the field and free throw. He's been amazing. And he's had a 10% increase on 3 on more difficult shots. Like if you just watch Scotty Barnes, he is creating from every level on the floor, which is crazy to say. And I know he probably won't get into it, but I think he deserves at least like an injury replacement all-star. Or at least nod. 29 and 5 those are great numbers, and he's doing on good efficiency. He also should be in the MIP conversation. I know that's not an award that picks up later, till later in the uh the season, and I know people don't like giving it to top picks, the one rookie of the year, but five
Yeah.
point per game increase is insane. 10% efficient, 10% 3-point increase is insane. He's improved after a year of stagnant development. He's skyrocketed, and
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. I love Scotty Barnes' game.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, he's like improved from just everywhere. It feels like I don't think there's a single part of his game, whether that be defense, passing, shooting, interior scoring, the handle, everything's been better.
Yeah,
So I'm just waiting until Toronto pulls the plug on Pascal and OG. I think OG gets traded this season, this deadline.
see, but
Pascal, I want.
I agree
I
with
don't
you,
know.
but it should be the opposite. I agree. OG is probably going to get traded first, but I just feel like the redundancy Pascal brings on your team and his age, it's just like get rid of him.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
You're right, but their ownership pisses me off. Sorry.
hmm yeah.
I think
All
that's
right.
about
I-
it.
yeah. I think we're about wrapped up.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone
Yeah.
watching this episode of the podcast. We'll be back. Probably gonna record an episode this weekend. Have it up probably Saturday. I think. Probably the plan to try to get that done. So appreciate everyone making it this far. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and peace out.
Peace.
Peace.